What is up, guys? Technical Tinkers here, checking back in on our little 3D print operation, experiment, exhibition, whatever you want to call it, for today. I know I do the exposition quite often, but a lot of new people subscribing, so just if you're unfamiliar, I own a business, it has nothing to do with 3D printing, and I got interested in 3D printers, and because I'm unable to ever have a hobby that doesn't involve at least the chance of turning a profit, I thought, hey, let's try it out. Let's see what we can do here. Let's see if we can make some sales, make some products, learn about 3D printing along the way. And I'm just showing it off here on YouTube because, hey, media is money as well. So what am I working on today? All right, so over here on the P1P, after many, many days, our character models, our batch of character models are done. I'm gonna take one in the office and rip the supports off. Now, if you've been a fan of I made them PG-13 for the low T crowd out there, or the people who actually have maturity for their age. Anyway, this is the devil, succubus girl, whatever. I was having a lot of trouble with her early on with the support settings, and I kind of, shelved it, and now I'm back to it because I've had success with the other character models, and so I want to see if these new updated settings will work. I went to print a test and I'm like, you know what, let's just go for it. Print a whole plate of them because it saves a lot of filament when you do that. And they look pretty good, but we'll see how the supports come off. Down here on Cobra 4, did a set of wings. Oh man, that's really stuck on there. Holy Toledo. All right, let's do this. Let's wiggle her off here. All right, that works. I tell you, doing the YouTube thing, you learn how to do things one-handed. Hey, a piece of plastic underneath the build sheet. I'm sure that hasn't been causing endless amounts of issues on this printer. Actually, Cobra 4 has been my best performer, oddly enough. It's probably because I've had it the least amount of time. The wings for the succubus girl, I want to pop the supports off of those as well to see, but overall the surface finish looks pretty good. I printed them backside down because the model, the wings, you see this part on the model. Surface finish is okay. It's a 0.2 layer height. Probably could have done it without brim, maybe dial the temperature down a little bit, but we'll see how that comes out. 1 and 2 are quiet. Soval is quiet. I need to do a test print. You know what? Let's just go ahead and go back. Well, I don't want to use the gray. All right, we'll do a test print later once I swap out the filament, but I adjusted it yesterday. I meant to do a test print, but I haven't got around to it. Got to get this stuff up off the floor. I was doing the thumbnail for yesterday's giveaway video, but the real story is the Moai head. So, Moai head, actually looking pretty good. Haven't examined it with a fine-tooth comb. Maybe some areas where it's like, I'd like the layers to be a little tighter. Yeah, definitely there. I'm not sure what's going on. It's because I just came in here. I didn't see this. You're seeing it live with me. That's not good. I'm not sure why it would do that. I mean, it's up here on the head portion. So much of the print is in. I mean, and this is big. This is hand for scale. Right here, this layer separation. I'm not exactly sure what would have caused that. It doesn't seem to go all the way around, just right here on the edge of the head. The areas I was really concerned about, the chin is fine. The ears have support, regular, normal supports in place, which should hold up the ears without issue. But yeah, this layer separation right here, big bummer. I'm not sure if I should have used more wall loops or dial up the heat or something like that. So I'm not gonna scrap this print. That separation, I don't like doing post-production, but I'm thinking something like that, I just fill it in with a ton of glue just to make sure it holds together because this model does have to get painted anyway. And like for the size, it's a multi-$100 model, and honestly, I had shown my T-Rex sculpt. Let's go in the office and talk about this. All right, come here, hooker. Oh, these are on there too, huh? Popping things off a build plate anxiety. All right, can I do it one-handed without damaging something? All right, I'm gonna set the camera down. All right, and so to finish my last thought before I get into something new, I was talking to the person who runs my company, which, I mean, I own the company, I don't run it. You know, because that's important. People say they like it when I talk about business stuff. I don't know why, but it's important to realize, to know oneself. I think it was Marcus Aurelius that said, no, I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about that. But to know your own weaknesses and know that, you know, there are people who are better suited to do things than you. Even though I came up with the company, it became very apparent that I'm not great. Well, I'm okay at running it, but there are people better suited to run it. And so someone else runs the company on the day-to-day, and I just pop in to cause problems and spend money. So that's my role. But I was talking to the person that ran the company. I was showing them kind of like my little side hustle here and, you know, kind of gauging their thoughts on it because they're, you know, smarter than me. And they, you know, they told me never bring that stuff around here. But I showed them the T-Rex skull, and they were quite taken with it. And they thought it was pretty impressive, and they thought it might go well in a store. So I'm thinking once the Moai head finishes up or gets to the point where it's just so beyond, it's just far beyond driven, it's just not going to work out. Maybe that can do another T-Rex skull and pop it in the stores. Because if nothing else, it's a decor piece. We have lots of statues in the stores, and mainly like Buddhas and stuff like that. But the T-Rex skull might actually be a pretty cool thing. Put it in there, slap a $200 price tag on it, because if I don't have to deal with shipping, and I can just take it to a store, and I've already got like a mechanism in place, I don't want to have to worry about Etsy fees or, you know, shipping costs or insurance or any of that other stuff. Really, I'm just looking at the cost to manufacture it. Then I can mark it down significantly. And at 200 bucks, it's, you know, pretty big model. Someone may be interested in taking it there. So I think after that, I'm going to do another T-Rex head and pop it in the stores, because I want to keep the original one here just in case I do sell one on Etsy and get that big 12 hundo. So that's on the horizon. I'm popping the supports off here. I should be showing this while I'm doing it. I'm popping the supports off the wing, because when you slap a turkey neck and it's hanging from a pigeon wing, the back here where the support's connected, I did a 0.22 on the Z height. Now, usually when I'm messing with support settings, it's in for the bamboos, not the cobras. The cobras are kind of like, you know, sort of a workhorse thing. I don't really try to get fine-tuned prints out of those because I'm not sure it can really do it. But overall, it came out pretty good. Yeah. So the back section's rough where the supports were, but I think I might take the torch to it and kind of try to smooth it out a little bit. And we'll see. All right, so we're over here on our character model. Should I save this for the latter portion of the video? I want to pop the supports off of this and kind of test to see if, like, you know, my brain power really worked. So let's go in for a little more macro-y shot. All right, so we got her here. What I did in bamboo is I actually just assembled, fused the head and the body, because I'm like, you know, I'm going through all this rigmarole printing the head separate from the body, and what's a 3-day print versus a 4-day print, or, you know, so to speak. So just popped it in like that. I can already tell right off the rip I'm gonna have some problems with her hair. She's got these little flecks of hair that are very fine, because this isn't as big as the previous ones I was attempting. So I'm gonna see if I can kind of wiggle it out. This is all matte PLA, so it's kind of a, what's the correct word, crispy. It kind of breaks off a little easier, and so that's of benefit. But man, this hair is not, I really don't want to bang up or mess up her face too much, 'cause that's where all the really fine parts are. All right, let's do something a little easier here. How about hair? Because this ponytail was always an area of concern, because it's like this tiny point that grows into this big ball of hair. And so it would always, when I would print the head separate, it would cause issue. And again, I appreciate the person who was commenting about their how they allocate the time for their machines. Like on a bamboo should be like, you know, $10 per hour or something like that in terms of production or whatever. I don't know that I'm really subscribing to that yet, because I don't do functional prints. I'm not sure that with art prints it really applies as much, but it is a good framework from which to compare to and look at. You know, they were saying something like the Giga is 25 an hour or something like that. Well, that's assuming you're actually getting sales. Because if you're not getting any sales, then it's kind of like, well, it's whatever per hour to make it, you know, what you're selling. But again, it's great to have that framework just to know, because, you know, going into this, I have no idea whatsoever. All right, so crotchal region came out fine. There's nothing suspect there. You don't have to worry about seeing any anything there that would turn you into a complete degenerate. Because that seems to be how it works. Supports are popping off great. Again, just my worry here is on the hair, this really fine hair on the front of her head. Will it focus? This really fine hair on the front of her head. I'm gonna have to figure something out there on how to pop that off without damaging the rest of her hair. She's got this long fleck here too, this long strand. That might cause some issues, but the areas I was concerned about are this crotch region and in the small of her back. So, ooh, this is KFC right here. I just invented that, by the way. This is KFC extra crispy, popping off like nothing. Like nothing you ever seen. Can this come off too in one big go? I was pretty light. I was pretty generous on, or not generous, what the opposite of generous, greedy on my support setting, because I think my overhang threshold was only set at a 20. All matte PLA as well. The gold isn't as shiny because previously I was using regular PLA or even silk. But this time around using the matte stuff. So the entire model is matte. White, black, red, gold, and the brown in her, I think the brown in her eyes might be regular PLA, but overall looking really good. And we got our wings here, so you can kind of get the idea. The wings just sort of pop in. I have a great big example. The first one I ever printed was huge. It was like double the size of this. This one's a little more reasonably sized, but this goes down, touches the ground, boot, scoot, and boogie. I think that's maybe a $70 hauler, something like that. We'll have to take a look and see, but overall, very pleased with how that came out. All right, destined for the ocean, because what do we do with our failures and our pieces of support? Everybody, all together, we throw them in the ocean. Thank you. Game plan for today is to clean those up, get some ideas on pricing, prepare for tomorrow's thing, monitor that moai head, because when I just saw that, I'm like, you know, kind of a little funny about it. Now the layers above that sort of area of separation seem to be doing okay, but if you've seen that, then maybe it's just probably like a dialing up the heat or dialing up the flow, maybe to keep that from happening again. I'm not sure. I'll have to keep an eye on it because I don't want to waste any more filament, but I also don't want to, if I stop the print, I'm guaranteed to waste all the filament that's been used thus far, which is it's not a lot. It's about going on 2 spools. But if I let it run, then I could potentially waste more filament. So this is the dice roll, I guess, that we play. And another reason, again, printing large stuff, kind of the name of the game, but it's a good learning experience nonetheless. And if I learn from this, yes, you absolutely have to dial up your extrusion flow, your volumetric flow to X, Y, and Z. And I had to waste 2 spools of filament. You know, it's a $20 lesson that I had to learn. Then that was a cheap lesson, I feel. So taking it from that perspective, I think kind of makes things a little easier to swallow moving forward. So I'm going to give things a few hours to settle out, and we'll check back in later and see what I came up with. All right, and so we've had a few hours to settle out, but a big test is coming up. The wife is about to leave, and a lot of people ask about the garage, the climate. I got a mini split in here. It stays balmy, nice and warm or nice and cool depending on the season. But the garage door does open. The wife does leave the house, unfortunately, at least a couple times. Usually once to go to the gym and then sometimes to do other things. So she's about to leave and it's like 40 degrees, no, it's like 35 degrees outside. And we'll get into that later. I restarted the Giga. So first layer I think is probably the most critical stage. And we're about to get a ultra blast of cold right on the plate, right low to the ground. So we're gonna test it out and see if it ruins it. Maybe I should put a little thermometer in here or something like that to test it. It's cold. All right, so what else we got working here? Well, the Sovol up here, attentioned the extruder gear, seems to be working just fine. I guess the way to test it is to kind of hold it and see if it can pull it through my fingers. I did that a little bit when it was doing its initial load and it did pull it through. So seems to be working fine. We're printing some devil wings up there. Same thing here on the A1. They don't look as good, but this is a 0.2 layer height. And so, you know, I'm kind of cool with that because the rest of the model's 0.2, it's fine. And then down here, we made our modifications to our coat hooks, towel hooks, whatever, and we're printing a quick batch of 3 there. So now we're on to the Moai head, the head. I'll just call it the head from here on out. Obviously, we restarted the print. Why did we restart the print? You guys got to me. All right, so over here, taking a look at it, it actually was a little less adhesion here on the back of the head as well before I stopped it. But this was the problem area that I was really concerned about. Obviously, there's this one layer here, and there was no filament switch or anything like that. And this infill, this particular infill, it's like a bird nest. It's completely useless. Someone came through with a comment and was like, you know, just stop it. Stop the MAOI head, the head, and restart it with better settings. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably a good idea. So I appreciate you guys with the comments, giving me the reality check, because I was looking at it, I was like, oh, it's only 3 spools of filament. What, you know, what the hell? But it's really a concern of time. So I stopped the head and I made some adjustments. And so this is what I did. All right, nothing incriminating on my monitor. Okay, so still with the 0.48 layer height. On strength, we upped the wall loops to 3, and we did switch to lightning infill, and so that basically makes it hollow except for the very, very top, and it doesn't really seem like it needs it. We went up to 2%, but that didn't really change much. Oh, Orca crashed. All right, waiting for the slice. Don't crash again. All right, so we got the slice here. It's gonna take a day and 16 hours. Again, I'm still running the 0.6 nozzle. 3,600 grams, so just under 4 spools of filament. And again, I am doing the standard supports just for kind of a peace of mind on his nostrils and his ears there, because they're so far up. And anyway, so up here at the top, it's a little terracey, and that's where the lightning is. You know, it's not a lot of it, but that's the only spot it is. You go down and yeah, it's completely hollow. So that's why I upped the wall loops to 3. I did adjust the speed up as well. So everyone was commenting on how slow it's running. I'm like, all right, well, let's go for it. So dialed it up to the outer and inner walls at 150 and the same 250 on the infill, which there is none, and same on the support. And so that's what we're going for here on the revised sort of attempt. I forgot to mention too, I did adjust the temperature. So I'm running regular PLA through this, and I've been running it at 220, which is like the very top end of what it wants. And I was reading a bit about layer adhesion, because the layer adhesion seems fine, except up to here. You know, there are some areas where it looks like it might be a little sus. And so I'm thinking, you know, because I automatically think higher temperature equals more oozy, more gooey, and mean stick together better. But some comments saying that that's not necessarily the case, and so you want to run it closer within the range of which it's specified. And so that's what I'm doing. I dialed it down a little bit. I dialed it down to 210, and I should be able to, I think, tell pretty early on if the layer adhesion is an issue. So I can maybe adjust it on the machine before it gets too far along. So reattempt on that. Again, a lot of people coming in like, oh my God, you're wasting so much filament. Like, yeah, I get it. Like within the 3D print space, like most prints don't use any filament at all, like a very, very small amount, but big prints use more filament. And so that's why you charge more, and that's the game I'm playing. And I think that's the reason a lot of people are watching, is because I'm printing really, really big stuff. Not a lot of people do it. So, you know, take that into consideration, you know, before you really think about it. And also, again, I know what I'm getting into. You know, with the YouTube money as well, it kind of bankrolls the filament too, to some degree, because I don't really have that much more expenses, just vlogging and stuff like that. It's not like I'm buying too much. So, gonna make those changes, gonna run this, gonna monitor it. And as far as the other stuff goes, I got the character models back here. They cleaned up great. I mean, just super impressed with that. And I think a lot of it has to do with the layer height being higher and not trying to print this at like a 0.12 or something like that. Came out just fine. Don't worry, she's covered. Came out just fine. The wings look great. So I'm gonna slap that on there. Say what you will about it, the character models get a lot of traffic on Etsy. Well, relatively speaking to the other stuff. Not a lot of purchases, but a lot of traffic. So there is interest there, and that proves to me that, you know, people are interested in it enough to click it and look at it and favorite it, but maybe just not buy it and have to dial the price down. So Either way, it's good data, and I think the Devil Girl is one of the stronger models, so I think just to get her listed today. And I do want to take another stab at the car, because I was having some ideas, some brainstorming about the RC car. It was an idea that we kind of shelved a long time ago, because I was in the midst of trying to decide whether or not I can pick up one of these CAD programs. But as of yesterday's video, I kind of came to Jesus on that Tinkercad's just my horse, or hire someone to do it. So I'm going to take another look at the car, some of these spots, and maybe if I can start dialing in and making a, if not just for sale, just for for personal use, because I run these RC cars every single day for my dogs, and it'd be nice to have a shell that I could clip the lure to, and that doesn't break, because the outer shell of the car is the thing that always breaks first, because the dogs are biting at it and flipping it around and stuff like that. So that's the 3D update for today. Be sure to enter. I have going for a week, a 2,000 subscriber giveaway right now, giving away 2 spools of filament to 2 lucky winners. Link is in the description below over to Gleam. You just have to jump through a couple hoops, couple easy hoops, and you could be entered. Again, I appreciate all the comments, suggestions, and feedback. It's helping me immensely in my journey. Be sure to like the video, because it's the nice thing to do, and subscribe for more content like this. I'm the Technicals. See you next time.